What's going on, everybody? I'm Jay, the Reformed Puerto Rican dude. Thank you so much for watching this video. Um, you might notice if you've been watching my channel for a while that I am not where I usually am. So I'm actually on vacation right now, guys. And I still want to obviously keep my channel up to date. So I brought some of my stuff so I could record. Now, before we begin, I just want to say something. I am here with my wife, my parents, and my wife's mother, and my children. So you may hear one of my children who is particularly cranky today, crying in the background. Nobody's murdering him, nobody's hurting him. Don't worry about it. He's just real cranky. So I do apologize. Okay. They got thin walls in this house that we're staying at. And so I just wanted to give you guys the heads up. But anyway, I wanted to go ahead and just talk about this thing that I don't want to talk about politics right now. That's not my interest. Um, but something happened recently that was just really interesting to me, and it was Tucker Carlson. And if you don't know who he is, just Google his name and find out who he is. It's on Wikipedia. But he started talking about how he started reading the Bible, and some of what he had to say was really interesting. I'm sure I put it in the title, and so I've already kind of spoiled things. But assuming that because right now, as I'm recording this video, I haven't decided the title for this video yet. So maybe I didn't put it in the title. I don't know. Um, Maybe I haven't spoiled it, is what I'm trying to say. So in case I haven't spoiled it in the title, I'm not going to spoil it for you guys either. Let's just go ahead and watch the video, and then I kind of want to pause it, every 10 seconds, 20, 30 seconds or so, to just kind of give you some of my thoughts, because this was really interesting, some of the stuff that he had to say. So let's go ahead and pull it up and just listen to what he has to say.
But leaving aside even elections, I think it's clearly a pivot point in history. And I don't think the issues that we debate and really are in some ways distractions are the core issues at all. I mean, there are forces, unseen forces acting on people.
Okay, so real quick, notice what he just said. There are, like what we're voting on, ultimately that doesn't matter, because there are forces, unseen forces acting on people. That, again, that's really interesting. I just wanted to pause it for a second and just say, keep in mind what he just said. Just remember what he just said. Keep that in mind. All right.
It's funny, in February, I was like trying to think about what to do for Lent. I'm not a particularly faithful or virtuous person, but like you try to do something. I already quit smoking, so like, what's next? And I thought, well, I'm just going to read the Bible. And no, I'm not going to do a Bible study. I'm a Protestant, so I feel.
Okay. This was particularly funny to me when I watched this part, because he says a couple of really funny things, like, well, I already quit smoking, so what's next? I guess I'll do I'll study the Bible, but I'm not going to do a Bible study because I'm a Protestant. And that to me was really interesting, because I was like, are you a Protestant? Are you aware that like the whole Bible study thing is kind of like a Protestant thing? I thought that was really funny. The first time I heard that, I cracked up. Like that was hilarious. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify, like, it doesn't sound like he's taken his faith super seriously in the past. Obviously, he doesn't even know that Bible studies are primarily done by Protestants. So, but again, that's also important for what he's about to say. So keep in mind, okay, so he says that there are unseen forces that are acting in our world, right? And then he says that he just wants to, or that he just wants to read the Bible, right? And essentially what he wants to do is a Bible study, right? Like he wants to read it and really analyze it. Tucker Carlson is the type of person, again, if you don't know who he is, I'd be surprised, first of all, if you don't know who he is, or at least haven't at least heard of him. But most people know who he is, especially more conservative leaning people, which I would consider myself definitely more conservative. And so I don't know. Just again, keep in mind everything that he's saying, because that is really important for what we're about to see happen. Okay, so just let's keep going, but keep everything that he's saying in mind.
I feel like I have a right to kind of read it
You bet.
myself. And I know, I'm sorry, I feel that way.
Which, of course, that is a Protestant thought, that I should read the Bible myself, right? Like that, not a thought, a Protestant idea, right? The idea of reading the Bible yourself, a Bible study. I think what he meant to say is that he doesn't want somebody interpreting the Bible for him, right? And so studying the Bible for him. Maybe that's what he meant. I don't know. Anyway, let's keep going.
And so I've been reading it since February, and I'm like about halfway done, and I haven't talked to anyone about it, and I haven't been just been myself reading it, and I've all kind. It's like the most interesting thing I think I've ever done. Actually.
So he hasn't talked to anybody about it. Again, I'm sorry I keep pausing. He hasn't talked to anybody about it. He's just letting the Bible speak for itself. He's like, I'm just going to read it for myself. I'm just going to look at, I'm just going to let it speak for itself, and I will see what the Bible is saying. Again, I'm sorry to keep pausing. I know some of you guys really hate it, but it's important. Just keep that in mind. He is just saying, I'm just letting the Bible speak for itself. I'm not letting any outside influence come in and tell me what it means. I'm just reading it for myself.
Unbelievable. The amount of drama in those books that has been hidden from me as a regular churchgoer in the Episcopal Church. Like, wait, why didn't you never mention this? This is like unbelievable. What? But the two things I have come away with after reading the entire New Testament, and I'm up to Deuteronomy in the Old Testament, is with the exception of Jesus, every figure is like really flawed.
Big time.
Like flawed in a way where you'd be like, I don't know if I could be friends with that person. You know what I mean?
So first discovery that Tucker Carlson makes: everybody in the Bible is a sinner. That's, I say that joyfully because I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point of the Bible, Tucker. So, if I wish I could like just talk to him, and I know he probably doesn't want to hear it because he said it. He's like, I don't want anybody influencing me. But let's say I had the opportunity to talk to him, I would say to him like, yeah, Tucker, like you, Mr. Carlson, you are kind of realizing what the point of the Bible is. Because there isn't anyone that is good, right? Everybody's deeply flawed. Everybody's imperfect. The one thing that I would say is keep reading, because it says not just about the people that are being spoken of in the Bible, right? These Bible characters, you could say. It's not just them. It's literally every single one of us except one human who is also God, Jesus Christ. He's the only one that was perfect. And when we say we're all sinners, that's kind of the point. That's kind of the point, Tucker. So he is discovering what we would call original sin, or honestly, probably further than that, total depravity. I'm just going to say he's discovering total depravity. That's what he's realizing. But there's more. Let's watch.
Yep. Abraham enters Egypt and he's like, oh, it's my sister, actually. Take her. What? I was saying to my wife, who was a religion teacher, I was like, what? Why didn't anyone? What is that? And she's like, maybe the point is that God takes people who are not perfect people, not only not perfect people, like they're so imperfect again, I don't think I could have dinner with them, and uses them for these grander purposes. That's the first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed.
Okay, before he gets into the second thing that he noticed, notice what he just said. He just said that God takes deeply flawed people and uses them for his purposes, right? So yes, that's absolutely correct, Tucker. He is recognizing that it is by God's grace that we are what we are, right? That's how Paul says it. By God's grace, I am what I am. So kind of amazing. Whoops, I kind of pulled down my headphones there. Kind of amazing. and honestly, I'm praying that I don't think he's a Christian, like I said, but maybe, just maybe, this might be an opportunity for him to really discover what Christianity really is all about, because people kind of have these obscure ideas of what Christianity is and isn't, right? And so people kind of think, well, Christianity is just kind of like a set of moral values and like a set of rules that we just kind of have to follow to be good people. And then we have to kind of like believe in Jesus. And yeah, I guess that's it, right? Like we believe in Jesus, we do good things, we don't do the bad things that these people in the Bible are saying, or are doing, right? Like Jacob or whoever. And we just do good. But he is realizing, no. It's not just like we believe in Jesus and we just do good things. Everybody's deeply flawed, right? So like that's a huge, huge thing to realize. So hopefully the Holy Spirit is working on his heart. But wait, there's even more. So let's keep going.
Is that people, while they have free will, of course, and they can make decisions and they live with the consequences of those decisions, they're not really in charge of the arc of history at all. They are.
Did you guys catch that? He said, while people have free will, and he says, of course. We could talk about that later, Tucker, but but we do make choices. Okay, we do make choices. We do make decisions. And he says, but they're not really in control of history. We're not really in control. He expands. So again, I told you guys I was going to pause every 10 to 30 seconds. It's probably less than that, but just put this together. What do you think? Where do you think this is going? This is kind of amazing for me to watch somebody who hasn't really like taken Christianity seriously. It's just kind of been nominal Christian, quote unquote. This is really amazing to watch. He's reading the entire Bible and he's realizing something. He's realizing a lot of things, a lot of biblical things that some people may not realize about the Bible, because let's be honest. I just want to say one thing real quick. There are lots of Christians who are, you could say, very devout Christians, or maybe not so devout Christians, who don't really read the Bible, but he's actually reading it. I think he said, I don't know if this was in this recording, that I don't know if I caught it or not, but he said that he started the New Testament. He read through the New Testament, and then he's now reading the Old Testament. He's realizing all these things. So most people don't do that. Most people don't actually read the Bible cover to cover or try to read as much of it as possible. And he's doing it, and he's already discovered original sin, total depravity, the helplessness of man, God's grace. So the pieces of the puzzle are coming together. But wait, there's even more. Yes, he's realized. Like, it's amazing to me to just watch this, guys, because again, not really a Christian per se, nominal at best, and he's realizing so much doctrinal truth, like theological truth. So anyway, let's go on.
Are being acted upon a lot.
Amen.
Okay. And I never really appreciated that.
We're being acted upon a lot, and I never really appreciated that. What does that sound like to you guys? Let's keep going.
Because I'm American, and so I grew up with this feeling that we're the sum total of our choices. Well, that's not what I'm reading at all. Yeah, people's choices matter. You need to do certain things and not do other things. On the other hand, you are not in charge. You are being acted upon by a world you can't see. And that.
Okay. I think we've gotten here to a really, really important point. Choices matter. Our decisions matter, right? We're responsible for the decisions that we make. And yet we are being acted upon by unseen forces. So who's really in charge? And Tucker really starts realizing, what am I alluding to, guys? I'm alluding to Calvinism. I'm talking about Calvinism. Tucker Carlson is realizing what we call Calvinism. And before any non-Calvinist or specifically anti-Calvinist comes and says, well, you just believe in John Calvin. Tucker Carlson's realizing Calvinism is true, and he doesn't even know who John Calvin is. And so Calvinists tell people all the time, listen, Calvin was a great theologian. He was a very intelligent man. He was a man of God, deeply flawed man of God. But I don't follow John Calvin. I follow the Bible. I believe in Calvinism not because of John Calvin. I believe in Calvinism because the Bible says it's true. And this is what Tucker Carlson is realizing. And it's just amazing, because that's what I say. I say, like, listen, don't take my word for it, right? Whenever I talk to somebody who's new to Calvinism, I say, don't take my word for it. Don't take John Calvin's word for it. Don't take any, just be a Berean. Go actually read the Bible from cover to cover and look at it for yourself. Look at it for yourself. See what it's actually saying. See what the message is. And it's like Tucker Carlson said, I'm American. And so there's this hyper individuality in Americanism, right? Like, and not just hyper individuality, but this idea of, if I pull myself up by my bootstraps, I can be something. And I'm not saying, you shouldn't work hard, right? Work hard. And well, here's the thing, guys. Like, the American dream is not really biblical, right? Like, the American dream of just making something of yourself. It's a good thing to want to provide for your children. It's a good thing to want to work hard. All those things are good. They are biblical things. But ultimately, we do those things for the glory of God, not to make more money, not to be necessarily even in a better standing in life. Although, of course, if you can be in a better standing in life and provide better things, uh, physical blessing, I guess you could say, for your children and your family, of course, do it. But ultimately, do it for the glory of God. Whatever you're going to do, don't do it simply for the benefit of your children or the benefit of your family or whatever. Do it for the glory of God, right? And ultimately, it's not really up to you. It's not really up to you. And that's what Tucker Carlson's talking about. He's saying it's not really up to us ultimately. So this is really, really cool. Here we go.
That, by the way, is consistent with my life experience. Like, I've seen that, I've lived that, I'm 54. And so I feel like it's really important to approach politics with that in mind. Like, a lot of these issues are symbols of this much larger battle. And the final thing I will say is, I do think we should approach these questions with humility.
Amen.
We don't always know. I was at dinner last night at 801, which I strongly recommend. Surprisingly good lobster, kind of weird for Iowa. I'm like, is this from the coast of Iowa? No, but it was good. But anyway, we were talking about candidates, and I was eating with someone who's a Christian, and I said, I can't tell if this person is a tool of light or darkness. You know what I mean? So we don't always know, actually.
Okay. And so this kind of brings the point home, right? Like, we don't always know what's going to happen, and we're not really the ones in control. Ultimately, we should do what is right because it's right. Right? We should do what is right because it's right. Now, we could have an eschatological discussion, which I think in this video there might be something on eschatology, but we'll see. But before I get there, regardless of whether things sometimes won't always work out in spite of us being faithful to God, or things working out because we're being faithful to God, we don't always know how things are going to play out. Now, I will say that we have to keep in mind that God does work all things together for the good of those who love him. So regardless of what happens, ultimately, everything will work out for the good in the end. But it doesn't mean that we won't see some not so good things at first, right? And like Joseph, right? He's a classic example. He got sold into slavery. He got sent to jail. And he was put in a position where he was able to save all of Israel, right? So that was a good thing, but not before a bunch of bad stuff happened to him. And so I really appreciate what Tucker's saying here in regards to, hey, ultimately, while we should, our choices matter, it's really up to God. So that's beautiful. That's good stuff. Let's keep going. Maybe there's a couple of more things here that I want to talk about.
At all. And we should always admit that. I've got very strong feelings about all kinds of issues, but it's so important to be open to the possibility that I'm completely wrong. Mm. And that what I'm espousing is actually destructive, not constructive. So just to approach it with humility. Like, we're all about 100 times more ignorant than we.
Okay. So, well, unfortunately, this clip didn't have everything that I wanted. I've been having a hard time finding like longer clips. I forgot the name of the guy that he's interviewing right now. He's one of the presidential candidates. But they're talking about like how things are going to play out. And then he actually says, not Tucker, the other guy, he says, we win in the end. which I thought was hilarious because it reminded me of the whole issue with John MacArthur, where he said, "We lose down here." And that's what I was referring to with the whole eschatological thing. When he said that, I cracked up. You guys, if you can find the full video, I couldn't find it again. I'm on vacation. There's only so much research I can do. But that was really just like the piece de resistance, right? Like the way to top it all off, because he just says like we win in the end, and it's not just that all things work out in the end, but I was like, that's post millennialism, right? Like it's not just that it works out, but like things are gonna be good in the end. And so Tucker Carlson just kind of went through, you know, like total depravity, sinfulness of man, choices matter, but God is the one in control, right? And hey, who knows how far he'll get? Maybe he'll reach or he'll read the New Testament again and realize that God is the one that elects. And but yeah, he's on the trail of Calvinism, guys. So I just thought that was really, really interesting. Guys, if you like the video, give it a like. Go ahead and share it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Even if you don't agree, I always like hearing from you guys and having that conversation. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time, God bless.